for the former Giants star running back who moved 100 miles south. Some of the bitterness from his Giants negotiation still stings. Here he is with Diana Rossini.
I feel like the Giants thought I was going to go out there and get 9, maybe 8, stretch at 10, and then I'll come back to them, and it's like, all right, well, we got you. If you want to come play at 9, you come play at 9, which I think that truly would have got it done. I think that's just where they valued me at. I kind of felt like it was like, kind of a little disrespectful, to be honest, because it's kind of like a slap in the face. But you go see what you are worth, and then if you're worth that, we'll see if you're worth it, and maybe we'll match it.
Okay. I'm expecting a monster year from Saquon.
No, and I think the Giants are not particularly well run, but I think this was a good decision. This was a great job by Diana getting the interview, but I was watching it, and like Diana said to him that during it they said, that he is the brand of the Giants, the most popular jersey, and the Giants are Saquon. That's more a product of how bad the Giants have been than how excellent Saquon Barkley has been. Saquon Barkley was one of the most dynamic college football players of his era, and as a rookie, looked like a phenom. And since then, has had one pretty good year, a handful of injuries, and a bunch of, I wouldn't pay that guy, make him the third highest paid running back in the league on a second contract for year 6. I wouldn't do that. And I don't think he is. I want to show you the Giants since he's been their offensive ranks in points and yards. And obviously, he's a running back. There's only so much impact he can have. But one thing should jump out to you on this. So look at 2020 and 2021. Both those years, they were second worst in both categories. One year, he basically didn't play. One year, he played basically the whole year. And the difference was non-existent. Last year, he played awful again. Point being this, even when he's been really good, which is 2018 and 2022, the biggest difference is those were the 2 years that they had competent quarterback play while he was there. He's not Christian McCaffrey, where he is going to be that level of force multiplier. He isn't proven to be. So I wouldn't pay him $13 million a year.
Christian McCaffrey was crushing with the Panthers?
Christian McCaffrey's numbers were unbelievable with the Panthers. Yes.
They were winning games?
Well, that's a different question, Miles.
Well, I mean, if you don't contribute to winning, we're playing fantasy football, that's fine.
Okay, so I think Christian McCaffrey has been awesome since he walked into the league. If folks want to tie mediocre Panthers defense to Christian McCaffrey, that's fine. If we want to say his multiple 1,800-yard seasons, his multiple double-digit touchdown seasons are that he's not objectively the best running back in football.
I think he's better. You don't think it's at all parallel that he can go to Philadelphia and be surrounded with weapons, and so all of a sudden you're not the 100%, the only thing you need to worry about when you go into Giant Stadium is Saquon Barkley, that he can thrive, that you have to worry about Jalen Hurts. You're going to have to worry about Devontae Smith. You're going to have to worry about A.J. Brown. And all of a sudden, wow, Saquon's got open lanes. Saquon's got wide open green grass in front of him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll let Greg go ahead. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a difference maker for the Eagles.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to be a difference maker for the Eagles, and largely because I believe that Jalen Hurts is going to utilize him and lean on him a lot more. When you have a quarterback that struggled, has been paid, and has questions looming around him, he's going to use Saquon Barkley to the extent of like how we see San Francisco 49ers use Christian McCaffrey, simply because if he drops back and he sees, oh my gosh, the picture isn't clear, you know what he's going to do? Saquon can now run. I trust, if Saquon is healthy, he is one of the better backs in this league. I'm not going to sit here and act like Saquon Barkley is nowhere close to Christian McCaffrey. As far as statistics,
what we've seen from them in their careers, he has not been.
How can you say that when, yes, Christian McCaffrey's number 1 in yards per game from scrimmage, and Saquon is in the top 5. So to act like he's not there within that tier, within that realm, and that's with the lowly New York Giants, okay? So yards per scrimmage, Saquon Barkley is right up there. He's literally top 5 in the NFL since like 2018 or whatever, however officially it goes back. So Nick's hatred for the Eagles just goes so deep with this, to act like he's not going to have an impact. Someone as great as Saquon Barkley. We can say that Saquon Barkley isn't as good as Christian McCaffrey. That's fine. Even diehard Eagles fans can admit that. That's fine. I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm just saying we can admit that. And if it is true, we can still also agree that Saquon Barkley can have a big impact with the Eagles. It's disingenuous to say anything other than that. I mean, it's absurd. And to compare what he did with the New York Giants, with a terrible offensive line, with terrible quarterback play, with new coaches, with new coordinators, that Saquon Barkley is supposed to somehow just transcend all of that? That's insane. That is literal insanity. I mean, it's just bonkers to me. Not to mention, something that's not talked about enough, is that, yes, Christian McCaffrey did unbelievable. And again, I think Christian McCaffrey is one of the best to do it, truly. So I don't want to get in a conversation between who's better, because that's not interesting to me. But he played for the Panthers, okay? A significantly weaker division than Saquon, having to go up against the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, who they just did a segment today, I think it was, or maybe yesterday, talking about how the Cowboys have been a great team for the last 8 years. And so have the Eagles. So this idea that when you're in a tougher division, that like your numbers aren't going to kind of show that relative to Christian McCaffrey is just kind of absurd to me, quite honestly. Because I mean, like, who are the teams that he's going up against? Nobody. Like, literally nobody. So it's just, you have to look at everything from a full circle. Yes, Saquon has definitely dealt with injury issues, but like I said, since I think it's 2018, he is top 5 in yards per scrimmage, yards from scrimmage, from scrimmage yards. So it's just, it just blows my mind, honestly.
When Christian McCaffrey was with Carolina, he was great out the gate.
Great.
What was the number one knock on Christian McCaffrey?
Injury. Yes. Injury. But when he was healthy, he was outstanding. Saquon has had multiple healthy years where he was just fine. Again, he was unbelievable as a rookie.
Christian McCaffrey always, for the most part, was playing with Cam Newton, and they had an offensive line.
Okay.
Like,
that's not...
What offensive line does Saquon have?
Okay, now we're kind of in the weeds. I don't think the Panthers had great offensive lines after Cam left. Cam certainly wasn't there for Christian's entire time. He had Sam Darnold, he had Baker, he had a bridge year where Cam wasn't there, and then Cam came back. But to me, there is... You're asking if he's going to be a difference maker for the Eagles. The Eagles were an excellent running team without Saquon Barkley. So do I think he'll be relatively effective? Sure. Do I think that Saquon Barkley has proven, again, it's a weird corner to be on because everybody likes Saquon. He's one of the most likable players in the league. I understand that. And we saw him at Penn State and as a rookie look like worthy of the number 2 pick of the draft. There have been 5 years of football since then. And at no point has he recaptured that? At no point. There is no point. His rookie year is so far and away his best season. And everyone, I understand we are saying they haven't had good offensive line. They haven't had good quarterback play. I understand all of that. But
clearly not.
Do I think Saquon Barkley is the caliber of player to put a team over the top? I don't. I just don't.
It's not about him putting the team over the top. It's about him having a monster year and an impactful year. That is definitely on the board. When you have all those weapons, to Wild's point, the more weapons you have, it's like, who are you going to look at? Who are you going to ID as the most impactful player?
2022, when he was on the Giants. Can we switch those graphics? He had 1,300 yards, so if you add the reception yards, we're at around 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns, 57, and no fumbles. So I would say if he could replicate this, I would say this would be pretty good. I think he could 100%. I think he could do better than this.
Oh, I think that's okay. I'll take the under on every single one of those categories, except for maybe fumbles? Rush TDs. Well, no, I'm not going to take the under on 0 fumbles. Rush TDs because I think there's a chance they use him as the tush pushback. Instead of, I don't think they're going to get rid of the tush push.
You cannot use Saquon for the tush.
Why not?
Because you can't have an injury-prone guy being your tush push.
Well, I don't think
you got to put somebody else in there.
I think, but regardless, I don't think he's going. There is not a long list of second contract running backs get paid a lot of money and it works out. In fact, it's Christian McCaffrey, and that's the list. And so nobody wants to say it, I think, because everybody likes him. And they feel like, man, he's a huge what if. What if a more competent organization had drafted him? What if he actually was on a team with real quarterbacks and weapons for during the prime of his athletic prime, what he could have been? But that's likely over. His athletic prime
it's
is
likely, but I think that's where we live more than anything. It's the potential of him having all these weapons and having a defensive, a comparable offensive line, having the weapons around him and having a competent quarterback on a team that really could be successful without him, and you insert him in, and you're saying, nope, he's going to be.
I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be around. I think he's going to provide around what. Was it DeAndre Swift for the Eagles last year? Well, around what DeAndre Swift provided.
Can I pitch you one
I think
more?
that's what. I don't think it's a massive upgrade.
One more
That's
thing.
hilarious.
Sounds strange. Because
used to that.
second running back contracts, a lot of times, like a lot of wear and tear, a lot of hits. In a weird way, has his injuries and lack of time on the field actually make him a little more fresh than the average second-year running back?
No, not to me, because that's the other thing that's a bit of a misnomer. Like, he had 1 year lost to injury. Every other year, I think he's played 10 games once, 13 or 14 the other seasons, and then a full season his rookie year. So he has been in the league 5 years. He has played, 5 years or 6 years? He's missed the equivalent of one season. So they franchised him last year, right? That was so he's been in the league 6 years. Pardon me. So he's played. I don't have it in front of me. My guess is he's played 74 career games. And so. Check it for me, please. But if it was
70, don't tell me you got that on the nose.
Did I nail it?
You're the GOAT.
Okay, thanks. All right, we can just move on. All right, that's great. 6 full seasons would be, that makes sense.
I thought he was missing random. How many quarters?
Shut up.
We'll just under the Hard Knocks shadow.
Well, listen. First off, Nick looked that up before. That's what he always does. He wants to be like, I'm figuring this out. He is also really smart, though. So I'm sure he's got a great memory. He was actually on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I believe. But anyway, listen. The whole idea that Saquon, first off, missing games and playing injured are two completely different things as well. Saquon, unfortunately, has been banged up and has not been right, even if it didn't just lead to 100% him missing games. It was an impossible load that the Giants were asking Saquon to carry. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, it really is. I think one of the GM or whoever said Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have even been successful with the Giants. And it's 100% accurate, right? Even the Patrick Mahomes, if he was with the Giants since 2018, 2019, Patrick Mahomes would have exactly 0 Super Bowls and exactly 0 Super Bowl appearances. And yet, as a running back, Saquon is supposed to just consistently ball out and put up cartoon numbers. It's an insane statement to make. And that's essentially what Nick is trying to emphasize, saying that Saquon is not someone that is going to be measurably better than just a pretty good running back. And that's just insane to me. It just really is insane. And again, the best stat that I can say is that the fact that he averages top 5 in yards from scrimmage, and that matters. That matters. That shows you how dynamic and versatile Saquon is, and how that was not even able to be utilized to the max with the Giants when you have a bad offensive line, no other weapons, and a subpar quarterback. How are you supposed to really unleash the dynamic athleticism and talent of Saquon? You can't. So to imagine that he's now going to be with Philly, with Jalen Hurts, with Dallas Goedert, with a legitimate offensive line, with A.J. Brown, with Devontae. Yeah, that's going to be really good. To think that the running back in Saquon can't thrive under that system is insane. The only reason why his numbers might not even show it is because there's going to be so many mouths to feed that it's going to be evenly distributed among all of these weapons, and they're not going to have to rely on Saquon, carrying that burden nonstop. They're not going to have to rely on They're not going to have to be like the 49ers who rely so heavily on Christian McCaffrey play after play after play after play, game after game after game. They're not going to do that. Christian McCaffrey was kind of running out of steam near the end. If anything, the 49ers would have been better off relying less on Christian McCaffrey and then have him have fresher legs come time the playoffs. He was nursing some some injuries with the calf and all that, and of course everyone's on high alert these days with calf injuries leading to Achilles. Like that has been kind of what Christian McCaffrey has been doing, and I don't think that's the route that the Eagles will want to take with Saquon. I think the Eagles are also lucky because they arguably have more offensive weapons, I would potentially say. It's hard to say. Probably very equal, honestly. And then I guess it all depends on who you think is a better quarterback between Saquon or between Jalen and Brock Purdy. But then, of course, they have Shanahan. So the coach definitely goes to the 49ers. But yeah, no, I just think it's unfair, the criticism that Saquon gets. And I think it's disingenuous what Nick is saying, where he's saying that people are only saying that Saquon will have a good year or that they won't say that he will be bad because they like him as a person. That's actually kind of a low blow. It sounds like it's a nice thing to say, but it's literally saying, I don't think you're good. And the only reason why I think people are saying that you're good is not because they actually believe that you're good. It's because they just like you as a person. That's actually wildly insulting to an athlete. Wildly insulting. I don't actually think you're good at your job or great at your job. But I don't think anyone else actually thinks that. And any of the compliments or the fact that people believe in you, they don't actually believe in your talent. They just think you're a nice person. It's like, what? You know, like that's kind of crazy. That's actually more superficial than it feels because we're talking about whether or not someone likes someone. But it's like I just think it's fundamentally wrong. And I just honestly, like, these clips are getting harder and harder to do because I wish we could just get some more like unbiased back and forth surrounding some of these teams like the Eagles. And that's why it's like hard for me to review clips for First Things First. Whether if it involves the Chiefs, the Bills, the Eagles, trying to think of any other teams off the top of my head, probably the Ravens, because it's just, there's so much bias that it then is just like not that enjoyable to hear the points because I don't believe them. And I don't believe that they're being said through clear eyes. Maybe he honestly believes them. I don't know, but it just seems like to be so confident that Saquon is not going to be good. It just feels fundamentally wrong to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. Again, you can make the argument that you don't think Saquon Barkley is maybe that good or that he won't be that good, but it just feels like it comes from a place of bias more than anything, right? It's very, very equivalent to me. His anti Eagles bias feels very much to me like his whole never a doubt with the Kansas City Chiefs and saying that they're going to go undefeated. Like, it's just extreme. You can believe the Kansas City Chiefs. You can believe that they're going to win the Super Bowl. You can believe that they're going to have an amazing season. But saying that they're going to go undefeated is extreme bias and delusion. And that's what I feel like we get for the Eagles or for the Bills. And it's just like, I like to hear like actual clear-headed analysis and insights. And if you really believe about Saquon, like, give me better information than just using the Giants resume. Like, it's just is silly to me. It really is. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that Saquon Barkley and the Eagles will not have a monster year? Or do you think that Saquon will definitely ball out and will have a Christian McCaffrey type level impact? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.